Welcome to What Happens in This House Stays in This House, Strength Over Silence podcast. I am your host, Tammy Montgomery Dozier. I am just happy to be with you guys another week. Thank you all for listening once again. So this week, I kind of want to talk about, how every year people they announce when 2020 or 2021, I'm not going to be talking to anybody and I'm going to let go of all these people in my life that don't mean me any good. But what I want to talk about today is when it's time to let go. And that's to let go of a job. That's to let go of your friendships, your toxic relationships. When is it the right time to let go, or when to say when? When to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. When is it that time that you want to leave a job? I remember I was working at this company and I had a lot going on. I was in a bad relationship. My health was failing. I had really bad asthma. And I ended up having to go to the Mayo Clinic because I would get up and I would walk and my breathing would stop and different things. And it was just horrible. And so I had went through all these tests. Guys, I went to the Mayo Clinic. I was there for 3 whole days testing and trying to find out what is possibly wrong with me. And during that time, at the very end, they had me go and speak with a psychologist. And he said, we can't find anything wrong with you. And I'm like, what? All this that I'm going through and I can't breathe. And it's like, we can't find anything wrong with you. So then he started asking me about my life and the things that I had going on. And at that time, I was in a bad relationship. I wasn't liking my job. It was just everything that just seemed that it was not right for my life. So I had been off work for a couple of months. And then after that, I went ahead and I went back to work. And I had to get trained for like about a week to be able to do my job. I sat there. The first day I was in a call center. I got back on the phone. And I might have been on the phone for like an hour. I typed my letter of resignation and turned it in and said, I can't do this anymore. Because at that time, my mental health, it was bothering me with my mental health. I just couldn't take it anymore. And that was like one of the best decisions. I'm not telling you guys to do that, but that was one of the best decisions that I could have ever made in my life. And that was letting go of a job. At that time, I let go of the job. I let go of a relationship. I moved out. I had an apartment that I was living in. I moved out of there, moved somewhere spacious where I had started, while I was off, I had started making jewelry, started me a jewelry company, and everything just changed. And actually, after I let all that stuff go, within the midst of that is when I met my husband. So sometimes you have to let go in order to receive other things that are waiting for you. But sometimes if we're holding on to toxic things, and toxic things are so familiar that we don't receive what's in the end that we should, because we're afraid of letting go. So let's talk about when to let go. And that's one of the things, is like when you're expected to sacrifice your personal values and to change into something that you're really not. So like if your job or the person that you're in a relationship is trying to force you to become something that you're not, and you're never going to be that person anyway, then maybe it's possibly time to go. You're with someone, you're in a friendship, and your trust is continually broken. Everything is always happening. And that's sometimes even when you work for a company and you've been there for years, and you, at the beginning, you love being there. Then at the end, it started becoming something that you were not used to, and things started changing. Now, in this economy and different things like that, I'm not suggesting that you move, but these are the things that you should think about. You feel inferior. Your self-worth is underappreciated. It seems like you never feel good anymore. You're always taken for granted. Everybody expects you to show up. But then when you get there, you're not even respected. When to let go. Know when to say when. And you justify that it's worth holding on when it's really not. Ladies, I know some of us have been there when you're trying to hold on to a relationship that you know you probably should let go of. Say, for instance, you're in a relationship. Oh, he forgot my birthday. Oh, he was just busy. When it's time to introduce you to his friends and different things like that, he doesn't say anything about you. Like, but those are not his real friends. I love my job, even though I'm always stressed. So there are different things. Look at yourself and really listen to what you're saying. And do you honestly believe what you're saying in these times when you're making excuses for other things? You can't remember the last time you were happy in your relationship, in your job, just period. When was the last time? Sometimes we have to take those moments for ourselves and just sit down and just think and recollect. And I have to meditate to get back to who I am if I'm not feeling like I think I should be feeling. And sometimes it has to do with me more so than someone outside of me. It's about me changing. You find that you're always the one making sacrifices, and the other people, they're not doing anything to try to appease you. But you're always, you know what, hey, just so I can just get this out of my hair, you know what, you're right, just blame it on me. Now, I have been that person with the tendency of doing that. Expressing yourself. When was the last time you did that? You express yourself, but then, when you do say something, your feelings aren't acknowledged. You refuse to acknowledge the present because it hurts too much. Instead of facing the present situation, you choose to live in the past because in the past, happy memories are there to comfort you. You've already exhausted all of your efforts, but everything stays the same. Empty words when it's not worth your time, your money, or your tears of frustration. R. Kelly had a song that he wrote called When a Woman's Fed Up, There's Nothing You Can Do About It. And sometimes I know, and we as people, period, we get to that point where we get upset and we leave based on anger versus leaving sometimes when you know what, everything, you're just tired. So you know what, I just need to go versus when you get to the point where either you hate something so much, hate a job, or you're in a friendship and you know that it's not benefiting you as much as it is the other person. And we tend to stay in these toxic relationships because, first off, we're familiar with it and we don't know what we're going to get on the outside. At least that person knows you, or at least this job is paying the bills. And right now, I can't afford to leave. So we make up all of these excuses. But when are you going to be happy? At what point do you decide, you know what, I need some happiness and peace? Because at the rate it's going, with the way the world is now, with this COVID situation, with the pandemic, with the job, nobody is promised anything. Now, nobody was promised anything before, but today the reality really sets in with everything that's going on. So when are you going to think about yourself? When are you going to be happy? When are you going to decide that you need to let go? So I'm going to let you listen to this gentleman. I really like him. And his name is Steven. And he's on YouTube. It's called Steven Speaks. So just listen to him, what he says about toxic relationships and when to let go.
So, for those of you in a toxic relationship, I want you to understand something. I want you to realize you can't continue to make excuses for why you remain in these situations. You can't continue to look for reasons or allow fear to keep you in a relationship that you don't belong. When you're in a toxic relationship, understand that there's an unhealthy attachment that has occurred with this person. And in order for you to break from that, you got to get to the root of the issue. You got to find out, what haven't you healed from? What is really keeping you there? Is it a fear of being alone? Is it the fear of starting all over? Is it the fear of acknowledging that you gave all this time to someone who isn't truly best for you? Whatever it is, face that fear, face that issue, and resolve it. That's going to be your only way out of that toxic relationship. But not only out of that toxic relationship, to ensure you don't get into another one. Because for some of you, toxic relationships is a cycle. You've been in one over and over again. Every person you engage with is turning into this unhealthy situation because the unhealthiness starts within you. And I don't want you to feel bad about that. I don't want you to beat yourself up about it, but I want you to do something about it. So be willing to face the issues. Be willing to get the healing you need. And that will get you away from this negative cycle that you've been in and put you on the path to better relationships, not just with people, but more importantly, with yourself.
I hope you all enjoyed listening to him. I truly enjoyed that. It was very short. He had a lot to say in that little session about toxic relationships. So ask yourself, what are you going to do Are you going to let go, or are you going to keep on holding on and hoping things will get better? And sometimes it does. I can't say that it doesn't. But then there are sometimes within your heart that you need to let it go. All right, thank you. My name is Tammy Dozier, and I do appreciate you guys listening to me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. You have listened to What Happens in This House Stays in This House, Strength Over Silence podcast. I can be reached at 773-251-5537. My website is connectedbyloveconsulting.net. And if you ever need me or you want to get in contact with someone regarding mental health, please feel free to reach out to me and enjoy. Because we are all connected by love. Bye.